Hey, thanks for coming by. Tory Magoo 44. Today is October 7th. I am celebrating the shocking truth on Scientology. And you know what? There's a lot of shocking truth. But remember, it's Halloween month. So for any of you that have kids, make sure you have fun things like this around your house because it makes Halloween so much more fun. So, what's the shocking truth about Scientology? There are so many shocking truths, but today I'm going to talk about, today's Sunday, so I thought I'd talk about the shocking truth about Scientology and Sunday. And most of you know it, but I know there's people out there because every day people are writing me saying, wow, I just realized this. And good job for each one of you who does. I love it. I love that you write me. I love that you wake up. It's so fantastic. Anyway, the shocking truth about the Church of Scientology and Sunday is that they are about as far from a church as one can get. Now let's look at the history of the Church of Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard, way back, and you can read, probably one of the best books is Barefaced Messiah by Russell Miller, who was never in the Church of Scientology, but does a whole writing of L. Ron Hubbard. And he talks about how he was with Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons back in the early 50s. Or actually even in the late 40s, right? And they were pretty kooky. Jack Parsons worked for JPL, as a scientist in the day, and this black magic weirdo at night. And that was Parsons, who worked at JPL. Crowley, it turned out that he never really was actually physically with them, but he wrote letters to them, kind of promoting a lot of what Hubbard promoted early on was from Aleister Crowley. And one of the things Hubbard said early on is, if you want to make money, start a religion. And he did. And that he started the Church of Scientology. Now, when most of us got in, none of us that I know of, I got in 1969, and it was an applied philosophy. Dianetics was Dianetics, modern science of mental health. Hubbard was pretty much pitching it like it was a science. It wasn't a religion. It was a spiritual betterment kind of thing. It was an applied philosophy. And that seemed to work for me. And they do have some little basic tools that can help you in life. Is it worth paying the money and getting trapped into a cult? Absolutely not. No. And it is 100% a business. And I dare any Scientologist, I've asked you this, just like, I forget his name, but the guy who offers $1 million, is it James? It's James something. James Randi? Is that it? I think it is. But he offers $1 million for someone to prove that they have these extraterrestrial powers that people claim that they have. And no one from Scientology has ever taken them up on it, even though they are OTs and all these other things, but they've never really proven it or taken it up. And so they think of it like a triangle, and every single level of that triangle you have to pay for. And they call it a donation. It's your donation, but it's a fixed donation. You have to pay it. There's no bargaining. There's no I'll pay you next week, next month, next year. Nothing. You have to pay it before you can get on the level. And even to get any training or auditing, which are the terms for Scientology training to learn more about becoming an auditor or a manager, and auditing is like a counselor. Either one of those sides of their bridge to total freedom, which is really a bridge into a ditch, you have to pay every single level, and you also have to become a member of what they call the IAS, the International Association of Scientology. Another scam, because L. Ron Hubbard, when we got in, had what was called the HASI membership, which was the Hubbard Association of whatever. It was Scientologists International. And it was, you paid, I think, $500 and you were a lifetime member forever. So we were all lifetime members. Then Miscavige took over. HASI membership's gone. We're in IAS, and it's another big pyramid of money that you have to keep forking out. And they're constantly calling you into these emergency meetings because it's something vital. And I want each of you to know, if you're in the Church of Scientology, you are getting scammed royally. And don't believe me. Go on the internet and look and listen and read and learn from all kinds of people who got ripped off, scammed, trashed. You know, it's just unbelievable that these people could call themselves a church. I mean, their front group, Narconon, now 4 people recently have died at Narconon. I mean, they have way too many people die way too young in the Church of Scientology. And I know people say, well, people die all the time. Yes, they do. But at the percentage rate of people that die is dramatic. One of my friends, who was one of the very, very top review auditors, said she left. Why? Because so many people on OT8 died. And she just said it just didn't add up. And it was the same for me. It was a big part of my waking up, was people who died way too young. I'm talking like 35, 40, way, way too young. And people who took their own lives. I know 7 young people, I've told you it a lot, who took their own lives, and they were really cool people too. So it's a very awful thing. They're against psychiatry altogether. I agree that too many people are on medical psychiatric drugs that I'm not sure they need to be or not, but I'm not a doctor and I take medicine every day for epilepsy, so I'm the last person to say I'm going to tell you what to take. But I do think when young kids are getting put on these, like I taught 6th grade, and I got everyone, and these kids were lunatics in a Scientology school, and I got them all off of sugar. This is a true story. And they went from being complete psychotic, insane, almost like gangster-like kids, to really good kids. Their parents all started calling me saying, thank you so much. I thought I'd lost my son or daughter. It was pretty neat. So it showed me, you know, there are things you can do to really help change someone. Now, is that going to help everyone? Absolutely not. Would maybe some of these kids that took their own lives not have done it if they'd been on some medication that might have helped them, or gotten therapy that they may have needed? Probably so. But that's the Church of Scientology. They have these blanket things, and they're not a science. They're not medically trained. If you have a medical condition, I cannot say it enough, see a doctor, don't see a Scientology doctor. They have been way too dangerous and doing things that they shouldn't have done, and too many people have died in the hands saying, oh, you don't need to take this medication, try all these vitamins. One of our dear friends is passing away right now, and it was awful, awful, awful to see all. And this is someone who'd been out of the Church of Scientology but still had the brainwashing going on, and had all these vitamins and minerals, and you know, we were packing them up to leave, and it was the saddest thing in the world to see, and to think that's what happens in this organization. They build it into your head, and it's so false. It's not that you can't take vitamins or minerals, that's up to you, but when it's going to fix a major problem, no. There's no medical science that backs that up at all. Now, some people may have miraculously healed themselves naturally, and I don't want to have you guys all mad at me for that. If you did, great. But if you need medication, don't feel bad. Don't feel like you shouldn't, like you're less than, which are things they make you feel like. I know. I have epilepsy. I dealt with them for 30 years. They're awful. I'm going to put a video in here of a father. I just posted it on a few places around the net. So wonderful. This man, and how he took his son and helped him. It's wonderful. And I really hope you take 10 minutes and watch it. So, for Scientology, on what is their shocking truth as far as Sunday? They don't even have Sunday service. I was in Clearwater. I mean, they have a phony one, but it's just for public relations. That's all it is. I was there in Clearwater when it started, and they had Save Sparkling Clearwater, Stamp Out Scientology, and we were like, wow, we've got to, get it together so that these people really see that we're a religion. And it was like, well, what can we do? Sunday service, let's do that, because then that's one of the things that most religions have that we don't have, because they don't. Now, their thing is they're on course, but is it really a church? I mean, if you have to pay every single level, that is not a church. That's a business. Period. Thank you very much. End of story. If you really want to get help, there's tons of help you can go to a bookstore, you can go to the library, you can, there's all kinds of books and tapes and wonderful things to help you. And if you want to be in a religion, find a religion that is a religion that actually practices compassion, practices spiritual betterment in a real way. Not like if you pay this so much money, you'll get this, but nobody really gets it. And you can't ask about it, because if you ask about it, that's a high crime, and you're going to be declared, guess what? They then declare you a suppressive person. There you go. There's mine from the Church of Scientology flag service organization, and they write up all this stuff about you. They used to write up real horrible things, but then I think they got sued enough. See where it says Church of Scientology? And you can see here, Tommy Davis before used to be their PR, and he tried to say, oh, disconnection's canceled. But you can see here, I was like, bingo, because it says her only terminal is the International Justice Chief via the Continental Justice Chief. And that's in writing from the Church of Scientology. So there you go. They do practice disconnection. They break up families. They practice fair game. It hasn't been canceled. Just the term was canceled. And believe me, we can all give you examples of it. Fraud. They rope in young kids to billion-year contracts, and they won't let them out. And then when they do let them out, they charge them a ton of money. Don't sign a thing if you're a Scientologist joining Scientology. Start looking on the internet, look all around, read, look, listen, connect the dots, okay? We can't possibly, there are too many people out now for all of us to be horrible. We can't. Even if I'm an awful, awful person, meet some other people. Go on. Have some courage. Have some guts. Try it. There you go. That is the shocking truth about the Church of Scientology and Sunday. Peace out. I hope you do have a wonderful Sunday and do something really, really nice. Thank you.